on what it's like. 1971 AMC Gremlin. The perfect car for the free thinker of the 70s. But before getting into all of this, I'm Jay. Welcome to What It's Like, the automotive channel that dives in deep on the cars not often talked about. We cover the classics, vintage, some exotics. We love the orphan cars and cars off the beaten path. Dive in deep with specs, period ads, button switches, and knobs, but most importantly, we show what these cars are like. If that sounds like a channel that you will totally dig, subscribe, hit the bell icon next to it to never miss a video. This 1971 AMC Gremlin is currently for sale at Tommy's Toy Box in Struthers, Ohio. For more information, pricing, and pictures pertaining to this very car, click the link below after the show. 1971 AMC model lineup. These aren't in any particular order. Matador, Javelin, Hornet, Ambassador, Wagons, and then you had the Gremlin. AMC introduced the Gremlin in 1970, and it was produced from 1970 to 1978 in America. AMC Spirit would take its place, built on the shortened Hornet platform. It's important to note that this car shares a lot of parts with the AMC Hornet. All the way up until the B pillars is actually Hornet. So the hood, the fenders, the front fenders, very interesting. Designed by Dick Teague and Bob Nixon. So fun fact, the Gremlin is 2 inches longer than the Volkswagen Beetle, but it's shorter than the Ford Pinto and the Chevy Vega. The Gremlin was introduced on April 1st, that's April Fool's Day of 1970. 1971 Gremlin could be had as a two-seater with a fixed rear window for $1,879 or a four-seat with opening rear window for $1,959. 1971 was essentially a carryover body design that started just 1 year prior, 1970, but the 71 did offer the Appearance X package for an additional $300. The additional money bought you side tape stripes, body color front fascia, slotted wheels with D70X 14 Goodyear polyglass tires, blackout grille, bucket seats, and X decals. 1971 was also the final year for the two-seat offering. Has anyone ever saw the two-seat version in the wild? I'd be interested to know how many of these were made versus how many of these survive. Let's talk specs. 161.25 inches long, 70.58 inches wide, 51.8 inches tall. It rides a wheelbase of 96 inches. It weighs 2,623 pounds. Price, $1,959, which is equivalent to you spending $14,599.92 in year 2023. Total AMC production for the 1971 calendar year was 256,963 units. Total Gremlins that were made from 1970 to 1978, 671,478 units, of which total 1971 four-person was 74,763 units. Total two-person in 1971, 2,145. Total two-person in general, I answered an earlier question of mine, was 3,017 units. Moving on to engines, which there was two to choose from. Starting in the basement, 232 cubic inch displacement inline 6, 3.8 liters. It's good for 135 horsepower, 4,400 RPM, 210 pound-feet of torque at 1,600 RPM. Compression 8 to 1. When backed with a 3-speed manual transmission, 0 to 60 could be had in 10.6 seconds. Theoretical top speed 105 miles per hour. Average fuel consumption 17.9 miles to the gallon. Moving on to the optional engine. 258 cubic inch displacement inline 6 overhead valve, 4.2 liters. It's good for 150 horsepower, 3,800 RPM, 240 pound-feet of torque at 1,800 RPM. Compression 8 to 1. When backed with a 3-speed manual transmission, 0 to 60 could be had in 9.6 seconds. Theoretical top speed is the same, 105 miles per hour. Average fuel consumption, 16.2 miles to the gallon. There were 3 transmissions on offer, all Borg Warners. There was a 3-speed manual, 4-speed manual, or 3-speed automatic. Motors Gremlin gets the best gas mileage of any car made in America. Haven't seen you around for a while.
were doing that well on gas, wouldn't you be happy about it?
Now, Mr. Banks, you're on the floor.
So let's talk styling. Look at how recessed these headlights are. Like, that's a good 2, 3, maybe even 4 inches recessed back inside there. Take a look at the grille. It's plastic. It's got nice chrome bumpers here, and notice how they wrap around. Look at how this is all nice and smooth. It does have a bulge in the center of the hood. Nice Gremlin badge there. Look at the little Gremlin dude. That's pretty cool. Side reflectors. Look at how flared out wheel wells are, but it's just so smooth. This car has chrome around the windshield, cowl vent, but it doesn't open or close. This cowl vent doesn't. Look, they started putting the VIN number right there on top of the dash. This car does have drip rails. They come back to here and they stop. It's interesting that they didn't slant it down, or it just kind of starts there in the center. It's not really the center of the roof, but it's just an interesting place to stop, I suppose. Notice this roof line. It swoops up just a wee bit before it kicks out the back. Look at that. I never noticed that. Look at these cool indentations here that are sculpted into the body itself. That's really cool. They could have just left it smooth like the rest of it, but they decided to put these little indentations here. Coming to the rear has these nice, look at this, how this comes out, how this flares. Nice reflector here in the back. Look at how the rear bumper is placed inside the bodywork. It's like fitted inside the bodywork. The tail lights are recessed as well. It has this nice pattern that kind of mimics the steering wheel. Gremlin dude. This is the gas cap. Look at how massive this gas cap is. That's pretty cool. Interesting thing to note is this gas cap only goes on one way. There's a bigger piece here and a smaller piece there, so you have to line it up with that. And I guess they do that so that the Gremlin is never upside down. Getting in the trunk. So this is all one motion. You have to turn this and pick up on this simultaneously. So when you turn this mechanism, it moves those pieces so that you can open it. Oh man, that's a bummer. I always thought that this was a tailgate that went down. It's just a hatchback, but this doesn't come down. What a bummer. I did not know that. You can fold the seat down. So ideally, if you're a tall person, this is how you probably have the back seat, as a storage area. This was a spare tire cover. Notice the wheel arches back here. These are for the actual wheels. Coming up and getting inside, but before we do, just notice how this door handle is designed. Look at all of the data information on the door. This door doesn't have a whole lot of heft to it. Vinyl material here. And this is like a painted metal or painted plastic material up here. Armrest as well as door handle to pull the door shut. This is the door handle to get out. We should count and see how many little gremlins there are. So there's 1, 2, 3 on the gas cap door, 4, 5 for in the front of the fenders. So there's 5 so far. Look how it says American Motors here in the sill plate. Window crank for the big window, and it operates like this. So take a look at this interior. There is a back seat. Coming down inside the pedal box down here, notice this dips down. It's almost like Hudson's step down design. High beam dimmer switch, emergency brake, brake release, clutch, brake, gas pedal. This is for a vent. Notice there's a shelf to put stuff on. Here is what over the hood looks like. Here's what first person over the hood looks like. Here's what the space underneath the steering wheel is. I wear size 36 pants. I'm 6'2", and this is what I look like sitting in this car. There is enough room underneath the steering wheel to put my hand in between my leg and the steering wheel. On to the button switches and knobs, starting all the way left and moving right. Headlights, windshield wipers, as well as the windshield wash feature, left-hand turn signal indicator, gasoline gauge, coolant temperature. I'm guessing in the center, those for idiot lights such as amp meter and oil pressure, speedometer with odometer inside of it, right turn signal indicator, fan blower speed, weather eye heat and ventilation controls, Gremlin on the steering wheel. That makes 6 Gremlin dudes on this car. Key for ignition, which this car has a lock and key cylinder as well. Up above, there are sun visors at the top, and they are pretty nice size. They're a bit small, as in long. There is a rear view mirror right there, and there is another sun visor over there to get a better perspective of how big those sun visors are, or how long they are, I should say. That's what they look like. Notice the shelf that runs the width of the car in the front here. Nice storage shelf. Ashtray. On to the glove box test. Here is our test subject. Here is my hand for reference. Here is our glove box in question. And notice you open it from over here. So it fits in the glove box, but the glove box won't shut. So it doesn't fit. All right, getting in the rear. So this has a seat back lock, which is located right on the bottom here, and you push that up, and that releases the seat back, making it possible to get into the rear seat. Yeah, there's a bit of negative knee space. These windows do not go down, or open, I should say. I always thought that they opened up vent style. The seatbelt is mounted at the top of the roof for the front passenger. There aren't any creature comforts back here. The seat is very... Look at this seat profile. And just look at the seat back. It almost reminds me of sitting in the rear seat of like a National Metropolitan. Interesting. It's not very thick. It's very upright, and the seat back does dip down in the back here, consequently making your knees jut up. This is what I look like sitting in the back seat. Obviously there isn't enough room back here for a full-size adult. My head is in the ceiling. I have no knee space. If you had to do this in a pinch, you might be able to do it, but it's very, very tight back here. This is more or less a 2-person car, unless you have small kids. There is a dome light in the center. Coming to the under the hood section, right here is the hood release, and it's done in all one motion. So you pick up on this, see how that moves it. You have to do it all one motion. The hood is super light because it has these big springs that help out with lifting it. So there it is, AMC 6. I love that you could work on this if you wanted to. Coil is right there. All of the spark plugs are very easy to get to. The fuel pump is down here. Oil filter. It looks like you could do the oil filter job from up on top. This one's got a nice aluminum radiator. That definitely looks aftermarket. It looks like the same style that's in my 52 Chevy. It's got an alternator down inside here. Solenoid. Dual master cylinder, but notice it does not have power brakes. On the positive side, you don't really see these that often. Comfortable, spacious front seats. Front shelf / catch-all. Parts interchangeable with other AMC models. It's a hatchback. Against it, the back seat is way too small for a full-size adult. Camera does not fit in the glove box. It's just a hatchback. There is no tailgate action with this one. Is rust prone. All right, now it's time for Would You Rather. 2 scenarios today. In the first scenario, would you rather have a 1971 Ford Pinto or 1971 AMC Gremlin or 1971 Chevy Vega? I'm going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. Moving on to the second scenario, 1971 Volkswagen Beetle or 1971 Gremlin or 1971 Toyota Celica. Once again, going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. Moving on to Name That Tune. First person to get both the name of the band and song title. First person to do both correctly in the comment section will have their comment pinned to the top of it. Thank you so much for coming out and watching this. If you'd like to get in touch with me, shoot me a comment in the comment section below or check out our Facebook group that correlates with this YouTube channel. If you don't have Facebook and would still like to reach me, send me an email. All of that will be linked in the description below. Just know I appreciate all of the support. And until next time, toodaloo!